On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast,
I realized the trend-setting power in sorority women, and there's a lot to say there. And truly, I've done marketing my whole life, TV, print, radio, advertising, and there's so much statistics. Like if you want to nerd out talking about why we buy what we buy, there's so many books on this. Sorority women really are trendsetters. 18 to 24-year-old women are trendsetters, especially in sororities. And I have so many conversations with people, focus groups, people who define what is cool for companies like Coca-Cola and Samsung and Nike. I've had conversations with them. Oh yeah, we also find it interesting that sorority women, you find them, they're trendsetters, because we notice this too. So that's the kind of things I talk about. Now I've had the opportunity to go to 80 colleges nationwide, so I get to talk about this trend-setting power, using that for good.
welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Okay, y'all, today I have the hilarious and wise host of Truth for Your Twenties podcast and keynote speaker to over 70 colleges nationwide. I have Katie Bulmer on Mad Rush, and y'all are in for a treat. She's awesome.
You're sweet, and you said my last name right. Good job. I just did an interview, and they introduced me as Katie Bulmer, and I'm like, that's fine, whatever. But yeah, you said it right. You said it right, Bulmer.
When I sent her the notes for this podcast, I said, what do you want me to call you? Or how do you want me to introduce you? And I knew she was going to be hilarious and we were going to have a good time because she's like, you could just say Katie. And I was like, oh, what I meant was what? Anyway, that was
that's funny. I usually say you can claim me Your Majesty, but either way, whatever's fine.
So where are you located, Katie?
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Wait, did I know that?
I don't know.
I just gave a shower this past weekend in Atlanta for one of my best college friends, and she lives in Chattanooga.
Wow.
And her daughter, the one for whom we gave the shower, just moved back to Chattanooga. She just graduated from Tennessee.
Wow.
Yes. So are you from?
No, I'm from Atlanta, moved down to South Georgia where I went to college and spent several years there, kind of got into the Greek advising and all the things I do now. And anyway, but we moved up to Chattanooga in 2017.
Oh, wow. That's the year I started my business.
How about that?
How about it? All right. So talk to me. Tell me like your background. You kind of did just a little, but that's really not what we need to know. And like what you do, I want to know all the things. And I will, just so you know, I'm assuming it's okay if you haven't, but that you've listened to the freaking podcast. So you know that I'm going to interrupt you all the time and make it all about me. So that's the goal anyway.
It's so fun. I love that you have, I just love it. I love the personality. Don't ever change.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. And don't ever date a dirtbag. Of course, I've been married. I've been married for a very, very long time. So he's not a dirtbag.
Good. Same
all right.
here.
So tell me all about you.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously we'll talk, how I got into what I'm doing with the Greek world and all that kind of stuff. But grew up in Atlanta area, went to school at Georgia Southern University, which is about 4 hours from home. Had no idea about anything about Greek ministry. My mom was a Zeta, but we didn't really talk about it a whole lot. I just went to college, not anti-Greek, but just not, with no strong feelings. Didn't sign up for recruitment, minded my own business. And
minded your own business.
Yeah. And then usually, recruitment happens in August, whatever. Well, October, a bunch of girls with these Greek letters on their shirt and balloons and all the hair are on my front doorstep in my college apartment, clapping and singing some songs. They were giving me a, what they call it, snap bid or COB. COB, thank you. There's different names for it.
Snap bid is the bid that comes before bid day. So that means for instance, you didn't go through or you got dropped or you dropped out of rush. And then the computer makes all the calculations at the end of the week before to give out the bids. if a sorority doesn't make quota, then they can give out a snap bid. So you would have experienced, I mean, this wouldn't, not you, but the person who receives the snap bid can participate in bid day just like they had gotten a bid the traditional way.
And this would have been a COB. Yeah.
Then after rush, yeah. And then after rush, it's continuous open bidding. So
I said recruitment, a whole other initiation. Like we were a whole pledge class of our own.
Oh, really?
So yeah, and it was only 7 of us. The fall pledge class was like 40 or whatever. But anyway, so they show up in my front doorstep chanting some song. Anyway, I got a COB to be part of ADPI, and I told them no.
Well, so that's what I was saying. Did they just show up? Did you express any interest? Or
I must have. I knew some of the girls from my classes. I guess I said
I'm not going to try to age you, but like what decade was this?
No, you're good. This was 98.
So yeah, because that would never happen. But I mean, as adorable and funny and great as I can already tell you are, that wouldn't happen now. Just because the numbers.
I mean, I knew some girls, so I saw some familiar faces from my history class, and I guess that's how the conversation happened, how I was nominated for a COB, but I didn't know what was happening, and I'm sure I was nice about it, but essentially I told them no. Well, who would eventually become my big sister, it was like, hey, afterwards she came over, we had a good talk, and it convinced me to give it a try. Best decision of my life. I was like, all right, let's do this thing. Called my mom, like, what does this even mean? But truly, I always say the first experience belonging to something bigger than myself. I grew up not very good at sports. We moved a lot. My parents were divorced. I just never had this team, I was never the girl with a bigger picture. I didn't have any biological little sisters or big sisters for that matter. I was the girl being a chameleon, trying to flow through life, finding my place. And here we go, my freshman year of college, and I felt like this was my place. And I just nerded out, these letters mean something, that our founders had goals, like the flowers and the diamonds, like it all has meaning, and it's just so cool. So, went through the typical college experience, graduated, and I ended up coming back as an advisor, like, I don't know, we'll say 10 years later. And I worked with the new members and helping them understand what it means to have these letters on your chest. Why are we even in a sorority? What does all this mean? Because I have strong feelings about it. And I can't
wait to hear those feelings.
Yes. So that's kind of the 10,000 foot view, if you will. But, and now with my marketing background, and we'll talk about that too, I realized the trendsetting power in sorority women, and there's a lot to say there. And truly, like I've done marketing my whole life, TV, print, radio, advertising, and there's so much statistics. Like if you want to nerd out talking about why we buy what we buy, there's so many books on this. Sorority women really are trendsetters. 18 to 24-year-old women are trendsetters, especially in sororities. And I have so many conversations with people, focus groups, people who define what is cool for companies like Coca-Cola and Samsung and Nike. I've had conversations with them. Oh yeah, we also find it interesting that sorority women, you find them, they're trendsetters, because we notice this too. So that's the kind of things I talk about. Now I've had the opportunity to go to 80 colleges nationwide, so I get to talk about this trendsetting power, using that for good. Anyway, I left a lot of holes in that, but
when you go to these colleges, who are you speaking to?
Sororities, usually Panhellenic events or a chapter, depending on the school and the size and that kind of thing. But yeah.
And what are you talking to them about?
Yeah, so in 2014, I had an aha moment with Comfort Colors brand t-shirts, which most of you know what that is. Hold on. Giving a bone to my dog so they won't cause trouble.
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, gosh. I have a Shih Tzu poodle and a Dachshund who just came to live with us because my father-in-law passed away, which is a whole nother story. It's okay. Now we have 2 rodents running around our house.
Okay. So yes, okay. This is the coolest. This is how I like, anyway. Yeah. Talk to us about your aha moment. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm glad that you found me this way. I did a video on this that got a lot of views on the interwebs. Comfort Colors brand t-shirts is where I had an aha moment in 2014. So as I mentioned, my background's in marketing. I've worked in TV, print, radio, advertising, and I'm working in bulk orders of t-shirts, branding material, stuff like this. So I'm in the industry that knows what Gildan and Comfort Colors and Bella Canvas, These are t-shirt brands, if you don't know. So I know what these are, but in 2014, never heard of the brand Comfort Colors. But all of a sudden, every business I was working with, every school I was working with, hey, we want Comfort Colors, we want Comfort Colors. I asked my boss if it was a new company because I had never heard of them. Like, remember, I'm in this industry. I should know the name of the brand, right?
Right.
Never heard of it. He was like, oh, Comfort Colors? Yeah, they've been around since the 70s. I don't know why everyone wants them all of a sudden. And I was like, well, that's strange. They cost more. Every time I went to put in an order, I had to click a disclaimer like, yes, I understand there will be stock shortages. I had never had to do this up until this point. This was far before COVID and inventory issues and stuff. And so I just became so curious, like, why in the world is this unheard of brand exploding in popularity? So fast forward to our annual trade show, you see all these brands and stuff. So I meet people. Oh, there's the Comfort Colors booth. I got to meet these people. So I'm like, why in the world, were you all of a sudden so popular? And they're like, all we know is sorority girls can change the world. So then I'm like,
I just got chills. I totally just got chills.
Well, this will give you chills too. So of course, then I'm like, I need to know more. So I'm like, keyboard, Googling all the things. Barry Chenard, who founded Comfort Colors in the 70s, is a mom and pop shop minding their own business. They're printing these orders. 2014, sorority girls, for whatever reason, decide that they like these t-shirts. Explode in popularity. Comfort Colors goes to 10 times their previous net worth. Gildan, which is the largest t-shirt distributor on the planet, realizes what's happening, says, hey, hey, Comfort Colors, we would like to buy you out for $100 million.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And here's the even crazier part. That year, Barry Chenard was on his deathbed. They did not do any marketing. They did not launch a single new product. They were not have a celebrity endorsement. They were minding their own business. And that is the year.
He was minding his own business, dying.
Yes. And that is the year they skyrocketed. They couldn't keep up with demand. They were scrambling. That's when they gladly took the $100 million from Gildan. Now it's the same, Comfort Colors, but just better managed with a company who knows what they're doing. And $100 million later. So that was my aha moment. And so when I go to sororities, I share that a little more eloquently.
Thanks for messing it up on my podcast. I'm just kidding.
No.
You were very eloquent.
And then I'm like, do you understand you have this trend-setting power? And now let's talk about using it for good. Because there's so many more examples of sorority women taking Birkenstocks and the crop tops. Like, there's so many examples of sorority women taking whatever brands and huge multi-million-dollar things later. That's when I wrote a blog post about all this. And Youth Trends, which is a company in New York, reaches out to me and were like, hey, we also noticed the trend-setting power in sorority women. Oh, by the way, what's our job? We define what is cool for Coca-Cola, Samsung, Nike, these huge companies. And so, they're also noticing the trend-setting power in sorority women. So I tell them that, and then I'm like, do you understand you have this power? And I talk about using it for good. Like, what about buying fair trade? What about setting the bar for things that matter? What about not dating dirtbags and changing the dating world? So that's a little bit about how I frame the conversation and then what we go into after that.
That is so cool. And
isn't that crazy?
And you're so forward thinking and innovative. That's really...
I think I just curious. And I was like, wait, what? I guess a lot of people in my industry saw that happen, but they didn't care or know or whatever. And I'm like, whoa. What? Barry Chenard was dying and you skyrocketed to 10 times your previous net worth? That somebody needs to talk about this.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And I need to get hooked up with the t-shirt thing because I made Mad Rush t-shirts and not wildly, but my age people love them, but yeah. I did pay up for them. And so now you need to hook me up.
Heck yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So that is very cool. And have you heard of Her Campus Media?
I don't think I have.
So she was on my podcast. Windsor Western is one of the founders. She founded this thing called Her Campus Media. She was at Harvard. It was the same year that Facebook was founded in the same dorm. They were both in their dorms forming this. But anyway, she has a bunch of different umbrella company, I don't think I'm saying that right, but she has a bunch of offshoots, not umbrellas, offshoots of that. And it is about college age influencers.
Wow.
So I'll have to introduce you to her because I feel like that's a very cool synergy. So
yeah, I love it.
Okay. So talk to me about trends you're seeing. If you're seeing what you're seeing, how often do you travel?
I mean, I go places every semester. It depends on the semester and stuff like that. I'm going to, I think, 6 colleges this semester. And so it's nationwide. I wouldn't call it, of course, most sororities aren't worldwide, but yeah, so all over the US, seeing different places. And it's interesting too, because people are like, yeah, we remember the comfort color phenomenon. Some of the young kids don't, obviously, but like, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. So it's pretty cool. And
That's very
digging to
cool.
see, from Arizona to New York and everything. So it's pretty cool.
And it says a lot about you too, that you're helping them understand the power that they have and that they should unleash that power in a positive way, which
Right.
is really what there's so much synergy between what I do or how I feel about the young women that I work with. I'm like, you can change the world. You just
Yeah.
have to understand it and realize it. And speaking of this freaking podcast, I always say, listen to the freaking podcast, which is why I keep saying that. But there was a girl who had a really bad experience during Rush. Her name is Izzy Friedman, spelled like fried man is what she said. That's stuck in my head. But she has launched a company called Girls Girl and Girls Girl New York. And I believe she's expanding it, but she is also trying to change some of the narratives about groups of girls and understanding their power, and helping people that age understand that they have the power to do good and be kind and inclusive. And I think that is such a great message.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look back in history, a lot of our great movements and so many things, you look back, oh my gosh, this person was 18 when they started this. Oh wow, this person was 22. So not learning that, first of all, and then learning, okay, this girl sitting in her dorm room, why not you? Why not you? If you have a fire in your heart, if you have a passion to make the world a better place, you're not too young. You don't have, honestly, no one's told you can't. So that's the best time to do it, right?
Right.
Just
Nobody's
go for
told
it.
you can't. Go for it.
Yeah. And make mistakes and learn, but failure is a good teacher. Fail a little bit, try again, keep going. And I'm a big champion of young people just doing the big thing and the brave thing. Why not? You could take a t-shirt and make it $100 million thing. Why not do something great? So
that's crazy. I mean, it's crazy cool. And it's also, I feel like that at the opposite end of the spectrum. I started this business right as I became an empty nester, and I'm old and I'm tired. So like the people you're talking to are not old and tired.
yeah.
But I was like, no one said I couldn't create this sorority rush consulting space. So I'll do it. But the people that you're talking to have the energy on their side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you have a little bit of life lessons too. So we all have something to give for sure.
Agreed. Yes.
And that's what you're doing too. I'm 45, but I always say everything I do is to be who I needed when I was younger. And I know you're doing the same thing. And
I love that. I'm writing it down. Hold on.
Okay, do it. To be who I needed when I was younger. And there's a lot of things about that. But one of them, as we're talking about, realizing I did have power, realizing what I was passionate about mattered. Speaking up for stuff like that. I didn't have social media at the time, but could you imagine? Had a little bravery and a little passion. And I don't know. I just think that never has been such a time for anyone to voice their passions. And now, of course, everyone has a microphone and that gets complicated too. But positive voices, people who want to make a positive change, please speak up.
Speak up.
Please.
Scream.
Yeah.
That is such a good point. And I wrote that down. Be who. And there's so many times that I'm on this podcast, I'm probably going to tear up. But when something that's said, like just today, I was walking and I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was talking about this conversation she had with her kid or teen. And it was about exercising and eating well. And she said, I just wish I had known what I know now. Like she said, I didn't exercise. So now she's close to my age and she's struggling with, my point is like that twice in like 3 hours, I'm hearing be who I needed to be when or who I needed when I was younger. And she was kind of saying the same thing, just she wishes that she had done that when she was younger because it's really affecting her now. So anyway, that's super cool that it's reiterated twice in
that's
3
awesome.
hours. And I don't think that happens by accident. I really don't.
And something that encouraged me too is, let's say 30 people said that to you today, but there's going to be one person who resonates different, right? Like
Right.
Someone maybe closer to your age or where you live or whatever. And so what kept me quiet for a long time is like, oh, someone else is already doing that. Someone else is already speaking at sororities. Sure. But for whatever reason, I might hit differently. I might be someone that speaks to a girl in the audience just a little differently. And so the point being, don't let someone else, because someone else is doing it, stop you. One of the examples I always give is my husband is a self-help nerd, and he's always listening to podcasts and books. And like, he'll tell me 10 times, oh, this is such a good podcast, da, da, da. And then I heard the exact same advice from this woman's podcast. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me tell you this great advice. He's like, I literally told you that like 5 times. But I heard it differently because this woman just was a woman. And I just like connected with her better. And, it's just a point being that even if someone else is saying it, keep saying it. You might connect with someone differently. So it all matters.
Yeah, that is very good advice. And it's very much goes along the lines, I talk about this a lot, us giving advice to girls in this age, it's way more, better received, is they receive it very much more from us versus their parents.
Yeah.
Because we could say the exact same thing, but just like what you were saying, we could say the exact same thing. We could say that skirt is too short for what you're trying to project.
Right.
You do you, not trying to change anybody. But if you're trying to make friends or get into a sorority or whatever, you need to be aware that skirt's too short in this scenario. And the mom could say that and they ain't hearing it. So anyway, that is very good advice and observation, I guess. So we're not skipping to observation of the day yet, but
I saw that. I love that.
That's one thing that it really depends on the podcast guest. Sometimes they're like, what? I'm like, I literally sent you the notes that said you're going to be asked this. And then sometimes they've got like just a soliloquy about what the observation.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye, hear. So talk to me about your podcast. Speaking of, talk to me about what you talk about, what you do.
Yeah, it's called Truth for Your 20s. And just like we alluded to be who I needed when I was younger. So we talk about healthy relationships. Buying a house in your 20s was a recent episode. Money. I just interviewed a girl who says, hey, future wife. So young brides. Just with all of that purpose. And kind of like what we just talked about, there were probably people speaking to me when I was younger, giving me good advice. But they were boring. They were irrelevant.
And you are the opposite of boring.
I thought I was, at least, right?
Yeah.
And so I get like, you're sweet to say that I'm funny online or whatever, but that's just who I am. Like I'm goofy. I'm silly. Like I would hear a truth bomb to a trending TikTok song, right? Instead of, let me tell you this super boring, but super helpful piece of wisdom.
Right.
Like, they're both helpful, but please give it to me in a fun package. I don't know. That's just the way I'm wired. And I know I'm not the only one. And so just as we said, the PhD could be giving great advice, but I'm going to put it in a fun package with a Bruno Mars song in the background. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
so,
awesome.
That is everything I try and do online and on the podcast. The podcast has gone on, since 2020 is when that little podcast baby was born. I know. So I have 90 bazillion episodes approximately. It's come and gone with the frequency that we've aired stuff, but lots of content there. And a lot of times I just meet people I love like you on the internet and I'm like, hey, let's do an episode. Sometimes people reach out to me through publishers who have some great content that they want to, promote in the world. But whatever the case, I'm pretty picky, obviously, and in good ways, much more than I used to be. I used to be like, yeah, whatever. And now I'm just like, I don't know, few and far between. But I am thankful for the opportunity to just truth bombs on the internet, truth for your 20s. So we talk about all the things. It's really fun.
That
I'll tell you one
fun.
funny quick story that you'll probably like. We were talking about the dangers of porn, which obviously a lot to unpack there. But my most popular episode, not necessarily because of the subject, although that it is an interesting subject, I was promoting it by doing a trend that was very popular, probably let's say 2021. Let's see if anyone knows that. It was na 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 na. I don't know. It was a Russian song that it was apparently saying some pretty scandalous stuff. I don't know, but everyone and their brother was doing this trend. I was just like, okay, we're going to use this trending song, and in the background, I'm promoting this episode. That's all I know. Trisha, 6 million views later.
Nuh-uh.
Because Bear was like, oh, wow, this is great, blah, blah. But then, do you know this is a bad song? Do you know this is a terrible song and you're use it to promote like anti-porn? And I'm like, wait, what? And so because the logarithms were doing its thing, that episode had like over 15,000 downloads.
Oh my God, that is
I know.
Crazy talk.
So I was like, well, I mean, I wouldn't use that again, but so anyway, all the like irony of that song, but
that is very ironic for sure. Right? So the thing that you said, like you're in a fun package, you're just doing you. That is the way that one finds success. You know, I'm not preaching this to you. I'm just saying that the only times that people really respond to me are when I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to give advice. I'm not very sugary sweet. There are a lot of people in the sorority world that are, and that is great because that's authentically them. Mm-hmm. But I think that the reason that I have success is because I'm just being me. And once I got that in my head, you know, because it's not authentic for me to be sweet. I'm not sweet. I mean, I'm nice and I care, but like sweet is I've never been described as sweet. And I talk about my friend Kelly, it's the same thing. She was like, oh, you're so sweet. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like I'm thoughtful. And I mean, you know, but I'm not even saying anything bad about me. I'm just saying like that sweet, like Southern, like, I'm going to take you under my wing and I'm going to help you. And this is, I just love this. It's just not me. And so that's what you're saying, I think, in that you being you and putting it in the fun package makes people receive you and your advice and your wisdom. And I think that is the case for everything, just being authentically you. And that's what I tell people going through Rush. I'm like, you're not going to find your people if you are putting a bumping in your hair and you've never worn a bumping in your hair because you think that that's what they want to see. And of course, most of the people listening to this are probably too young for the bump it reference, but there was a show called Jersey Shore, people, and Snooki had a bump it in her hair, which made her hair go really high in the middle. And that's what I'm referring to.
There we go. Maybe they'll be back. Could you imagine?
No. God, can you imagine? Oh, Lord. No. I mean, I don't know. So how not to date a dirtbag. Give me like a couple. That's a great line. I just need to know a couple things that one would not do. Obviously, it doesn't affect me at all.
No, I get it. Yeah. No, I've been married 20 years too, but that's one of the things I'm super passionate about because when we have this conversation of being who you needed when you were younger, for me, that is not dating dirtbags and knowing what's that like. And essentially that's just knowing your worth, deciding what matters to you in a dating relationship. One of the things I talk about when I go to sororities is not once in the history of ever have I heard a young lady say, you know, Katie, I'm just really looking for an addicted dropout who cusses at his mama. Like, that sounds so hot. Like, no, no one says that, but they date a partner like that because they go in with no plan. Like, oh, they are cute and smell good. Like, end of my brain power. And I'm like, listen, decide what matters to you beforehand, before
go in with a plan.
Preach. Yes, go in with a plan. So yeah, that's what I talk about. And we do this fun little interactive where I have a dry erase board. I'm like, call out characteristics that matter to you in a dating relationship. And they're always similar. Like all these different colleges I've gone to. Respectful, kind, funny, you know, like I have a dry erase board full of characteristics. They're almost always the same. I'm like, okay, this is great. And then I like flip this around. Does this list also describe you? And it's kind of like that. Ooh. And sometimes I have girls after me come talk to me like, you know what, Katie, that's good, because I would have told you like I wanted this quiet, good Christian man, but meanwhile I'm dancing on the bar doing tequila shots. Like, I'm just saying, like, sometimes you want this list to describe you if that's what matters to you in a dating relationship. And I was that girl too. And I'm like sitting here saying, part of me was like, whoa, what are you thinking? This beautiful, well-rounded, amazing, world-changing sorority women dating that guy? Like, what the heck? And so part of me wants to strangle you. And then part of me was like, I was that girl too. I was that girl looking for love in all the wrong fraternity boys. And it's because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a plan. And I would have told you I wanted, A, B, and C. But meanwhile,
you were being C, D, and F, or
exactly.
C, D, and E, whatever.
Or like another way I describe, like, I want something that's north, but I'm looking for it while driving south. Like, how are you planning on getting there?
That is brilliant. And it brings me, I'm curious, when you do that dry erase board, how many of them say good looking? And I'm going somewhere with this. Or hot?
Well, usually I qualify it first and I say tall, dark, and handsome, obviously.
Gotcha.
But when you are covered in baby spit up and you can't remember the last time you washed your hair, what are the characteristics of the person beside you? So kind of qualify it, like asking them to dig a little deeper.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I was in that documentary, Bama Rush, and one of the things that I really disliked was that when the some fraternity guy in the documentary said that sorority's good because they have all the hot girls. And I wanted to jump into my TV screen because that is not what it's about. I mean, I'm sure, obviously, and I've said this a million times too, a gazillion and 42 times, that obviously, being good looking is great in life. I mean, look at me. That's why I'm successful. Totally kidding. But
obviously. No.
Obviously, you're kidding because you're not good looking.
Obviously, you're good looking.
No. Obviously, you're kidding.
I tried to say obviously first, but my mic was muted because my dog is barking. But I was going to say, okay, you're so good looking. Congratulations on your face. Now show me your character.
Exactly. But so in that documentary, I just came unglued because I was like, this is not what it's about. And that's what I tell our clients and what I tell people. It is not, you're not getting into a sorority of substance where you're going to find your people if all you're caring about is what they look like. And that is not, I don't give a shit what my friends look like. I kind of want them ugly because then I look good. But, I don't care and they don't care. I mean, it's the charisma. It's the being funny or being all the good things. And looks really, like you said, I mean, let's talk about looks when you're 57. I mean, look.
Girl, you look good. You look good.
That was a big, long-winded way of trying to fish for a compliment, I think, maybe. But no, it's so
true. Yeah.
But I love that what you're looking for, if you're looking for it, you don't go the opposite or do the opposite.
Yeah. Be who you're looking for is looking for. The way I put it. Be who you're looking for.
Okay, so there's another quote from Katie. Be who say that again.
Be who you're looking for is looking for. Yeah.
Okay, so just so y'all know, I'm not going to air this podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like that's my quote. It's going to be my new company tagline.
Yeah, girl, you can have it.
So
it's not copyrighted.
So yes, nobody's going to ever, this is going to be never going to see the light of day. No one's ever going to know that this wasn't my quote.
Yeah, we can put it on a t-shirt. I can help you with those.
Yes. Yeah, you are helping me with t-shirts. I'm excited about that. So, all right. I think you're like the best.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're the best and so complimentary. I think that we're in similar lanes here. Just trying to like live a little life and share it with those behind us and help them, do a few less stupid things. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Few less. I'm going to write that down too. And yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, just so you know, this is not airing. Today's February 4th. But if you go to my Instagram, you're going to see the post that I'm going to make in about, 20 minutes that says all these things. But
you're sweet. I'm glad they're helpful. I try to like put in a little package so they can walk away and remember a few things.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that speaking to these young women that are going to change the world and helping them do that in a methodical, authentic, real way is definitely one of your superpowers. At least
Aw.
from where I'm sitting, it is.
Oh, you're sweet. Well, you got a good viewpoint, I hope.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if Katie So Bama Rush Talk popularized the hashtag OOTD outfit of the day. For Mad Rush, I am repurposing hashtag OOTD into observation of the day. What is your hashtag observation of the day? Katie Bulmer.
I love it. So we currently have an exchange student.
Wait, in your house?
Well, she's at school right now, but yes, she's living with us for a full school year
For a year?
A school year, yeah, from August to May.
No, we're not getting into your, we got to back up just a little bit. Where's she from?
Germany.
Does she speak English?
Yes, she speaks English. She's obviously German is her first language, and she has a little bit of an accent, but she speaks great English. Yes.
Well, I get to interject. We had an exchange student. It was actually from my brother from France, and we lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was hotter than the hind hinges of hell in July. And this guy, his comfort was wearing this wool cardigan, and he would wear it to the pool and everywhere. And I was like, okay, I don't know that we can work with this because like we're all pouring sweat. Anyway, that was very relevant to this conversation. So let's get back to your observation.
Yeah. So just obviously having someone live with you from a different country changes the way you see so many things. She was here through our November election. She's been here.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so just so many things. And I see everything a little differently. We were at church the other day and it was saying something about America. And it's just like, you just see things differently with someone who isn't from America. And it's been great. It's been eye-opening. We love her. She's been a great fit for our family. But we were watching the Grammys, 2 nights ago, and the way we see things and the music choices and all of that definitely it's been a great experience seeing the world from a different viewpoint, if you will. And so yeah, that's my OOTD.
That's amazing. And that's super cool. I would love to like get her, her thoughts on certain things, which I'm sure you do.
Oh yes, I interviewed her on my podcast actually. But yeah,
did you really?
Yeah, she's so
I'm gonna have to
fascinating.
listen to it. I got to go back through all the gazillion episodes. Who knew?
That's a lot. You don't have to listen to all this.
I mean, well, I'm gonna try. So, because I think you're highly entertaining and wise and wonderful and all the good things. So, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, I'm at Katie Bulmer Life on TikTok and Instagram are my two favorite platforms, and katiebulmer.life is my website.
Awesome. Well, you guys, you need to follow her and listen to her, but you kind of don't because I'm pirating everything that she said, and I'm just going to pretend like it's mine, like I said. So it's, just listen to me because it's going to be everything she said, but I'm going to claim it. Anyway.
Claim it, girl. You're good.
Thank you for being here. I can't wait to stay in touch, and I can't wait to sell all the Mad Rush t-shirts at a very discounted price.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
All right, thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. Okay, today's guest, Katie Bulmer, literally, if you're listening, had so many cool quotes that I'm now going to add to my repertoire. But one of the ones for Rush specific, be who you're looking for is looking for. And that is so profound to me. So if you're looking for people that just want to go out and party, just want to do the crazy fraternity party, nights out, whatever, then you can be that. But if you're looking for true lifetime friends and connections and to find your people, you need to be authentically you and be those things. Be kind and considerate and thoughtful and inclusive. And that said, you should check out Girls Girl NYC and get behind her movement. That is also a thing that you need to follow. So anyway, be who you are looking for is looking for. And that is in Rush and beyond. But for our purposes for this time out, I'm talking about Rush. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.